All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is 3 o'clock on the dot, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I hope y'all are having a wonderful October and surviving what is probably one of the craziest weeks of the year. Our kids haven't even gotten their Halloween candy yet, but they're already just bouncing off the walls with excitement. So I'll be thinking of you all Friday, sending you good vibes to deal with those sugar-fueled little children. Let's go ahead, though, and take a dive into today's presentation. My name is Jennifer Jones, and I am the Chief Academic Officer here at TopScore. Lisa is busy training schools today, so I'm going to fill in for her. And we have a couple of important topics that we want to discuss with you. The first thing we're going to do is touch base on pacing. Now that we are at the end of October and entering into November, we want to talk about where we should be and what genres we should be focusing on in the upcoming months. From there, we're going to share a handy resource for coaches and administrators called Leadership Look-Fors. And then we're going to end by talking about some ways you can bring just a little bit more fun and excitement into your writing block. We know that we are a couple of months into the school year, and this may be the time when your students are starting to get a little wiggly, starting to get a little bored with the writing they've been doing. So we're going to spice things up a little bit, and we have some fun ideas to help you do just that. All right, so let's begin by talking about pacing. So every grade level has a suggested pacing guide that we publish at the beginning of the school year, and it is just that. It is a suggestion. It's a great jumping off place to start when you're doing your curriculum mapping. We encourage schools to think about their students and their needs and their prior knowledge when really finalizing their own personalized curriculum map. But our general pacing guide is a great place to start. So let's begin by speaking to our tested grades. So this typically is fourth grade and above, but we do know some states do state writing testing in third grade as well. So for the students that are going to be taking a statewide writing assessment this spring, we suggest that they be in their first text-based writing genre. So this means we are either working on informative or expository writing or opinion or argumentative writing. Depends what state you're in and what grade you teach. But we want to be well into our first text-based genre right now so that we have adequate time to cover all of the tested genres and have a little bit time left for some test prep and review and enrichment prior to that testing date. Let's go ahead and review our timeline for instruction looking at the year as a whole. We typically recommend for our schools that are beginning with Section 1, and remember that is our foundational writing skills section. Section 1 is non-text-based writing. It is how we introduce our students to all of those writing skills that they're going to need when they do get into the text-based genres. So for our schools that chose to begin with Section 1, we usually recommend wrapping up that section of the curriculum by the end of September. In October, we're diving into our first text-based genre, and we work through that section all the way to December, maybe even early January. In January, we want to dive into our second text-based genre. We want to continue to work with that section of the curriculum all the way up until March. And then we want to allow ourselves to have a few weeks, hopefully 2 to 4 weeks prior to our state testing day to reteach, to enrich. We really don't know what we want to teach during that time until we get there, because that's the point in our instruction where we're going to be individualizing 100% of the time. Now, you may have noticed that I said in October through December, we're working on our first text-based genre. I didn't say informative writing or expository. Please remember that our text-based writing genres, which is expository informative writing and opinion and argumentative writing, are interchangeable. You can start with either one of those sections. So some schools reach out to us and they say, hey, our district does this really big opinion or argumentative writing assessment in November. We want to prepare our students for that. Is it okay if we do section 3 before we do section 2? Absolutely. Okay, so you can do either one of those sections in any order that you would like. And then after the state test, which is usually in April or May for most of us, sometime in the spring, then we suggest diving into narrative writing, which is section 4 for most grade levels. Now, of course, if you are in a state where narrative is a tested genre as well, you're going to want to make sure that you modify your curriculum map a bit and make sure that you cover that section as well prior to your testing date. And if anyone ever has questions about pacing, if you'd ever like to meet with myself or Lisa or anyone else on our curriculum team, we are happy to do so. You can just reach out to customer service at topscorewriting.com and we can set up a time to chat with you individually. Now, for our non-tested grade level, so typically these are grades 1 through 3, you have lots of time to cover your state standards, right? You don't have to get everything done by April or so. There is no state test for most of you. So we want to encourage those teachers that are in the primary grades to take their time in section 1. Section 1 is where we cover those foundational writing skills, like how to plan with an outline, how to brainstorm and generate ideas, how to decide what is a big topic versus a supporting detail. This is where we learn what a transition word is and a topic sentence and how to write a basic introduction paragraph. These are the foundations in which students are going to build upon throughout their writing development. So take your time in section 1. It is far more effective to spend your time really helping your students to develop a strong foundation in writing than it is to rush through all of the writing lessons and cover them as quickly as possible and get through every single lesson in every single genre. Really remember the focus in primary should be on structure and organization, and don't feel pressured to rush through section 1. Take your time and really allow your students to master those crucial skills. All right, then now I'll speak to a moment to our coaches and our administrators. So we know that there are so many different curriculums that you are helping your teachers to navigate through, that it can be a bit overwhelming to learn the nitty gritties of every single one of them. So we've created what we call our leadership look fors. That is exactly that. This is a handy dandy little cheat sheet that our coaches or administrators can keep with them when they're doing classroom walkthroughs or observations, and it just helps them to identify things that they should be looking for during the writing block. And what's also very helpful is not only is there a list of things you should be seeing in the classroom, but there's also a list of suggestions. So if there's something that you're not seeing in the classroom, well, there's a couple of discussion points that you can use to guide your discussion with teachers. There's a few suggestions you can make, but it really just lets you know as an admin or as a coach what you should be seeing from your teachers, from the students, from the writing environment to ensure that the top score curriculum is being implemented with fidelity. So we are going to send this out to everyone who is registered for this meeting automatically with the recording. So don't worry, everyone will get a copy of it. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And now let's talk about grabbing the little tiny humans in our classrooms' attention. Okay, it is the end of October. And besides the fact that Halloween is coming, they're just all starting to get very comfortable with us and with their peers. And so we may find that their attention is wandering a little bit in writing. And we just need to add some excitement. So we're going to, over the next few months, be sharing strategies or activities that you can do in your classroom to make writing a little bit more fun and a little bit more engaging. And today we're going to be talking about making everyday writing fun. So these are going to be very simple ideas that are free. They don't require a lot of planning. Maybe a few things need to be purchased, but you might have these things laying around your home or laying around your classroom, right? These are just things that you can do to make your everyday writing lessons fun. And most of these ideas we've collected from all of you, from all of the time we have spent in classrooms with our amazing top score teachers, from you all writing in and sharing ideas and success stories. These ideas really come from all of you. So thank you for sharing those with us. Okay, so change the environment, right? Just do something different. Things we've seen our teachers do is turning off the lights and having the students all bring in a flashlight. Super simple. Everybody's got a flashlight at home, right? Everybody's going to work at their seats, but instead of having the big overhead lights on, they have a little flashlight and they're holding it up to make a light beam, and then they're doing that day's writing assignment. I'm writing in the dark with glow goodies. So in a couple of days, right when Halloween's over, we're going to see all of those Halloween clearance sales. This is a great time to go out and snag some of those glow bracelets or glow necklaces, or I even saw glow headlamps the other day, when they're 50% off or 75% off, or ask your parents to donate some that they have left over. And have a glow goodie day. So the students are going to put all of this glow apparel on, and then they're going to write whatever your normal writing assignment is, they're going to do, but now they're wearing some fun accessories. Another idea, it's beautiful outside for most of us where we live, right? It's fall. So change the writing environment. Go outside, write under a tree, bring some picnic blankets. You could even go to another place in your school. Maybe your media center has this really cool reading nook. You could go right in there with the media specialist's approval. Just go someplace else to do the writing lesson for the day. Go to the picnic tables outside if it has a nice day of weather where you live. Just change up the environment a little bit. One of the most fun things I think I've ever seen any teacher do was as a reward. Okay, so she had a little carrot. She told her students they had to earn this activity, but they earned the right through their writing that they did to have a write in your fort day. And so what they did on this day is they all were allowed to bring in some blankets or towels from home. And then she set a timer and they had a few moments to make a fort. So she gave them 10 minutes or so to build their own fort. And some kids just took a blanket, draped it over their desk, crawled underneath it, and they were done. And then other kids paired up and made this really cool, complex fort that had different rooms in it. But she gave them a few moments to be creative, to work with their friends and design any kind of fort they wanted. And then when the timer was up, it was time to get in your fort and write. So if you are wanting your students to do a bit of an extended writing activity, maybe you want them to write a full essay, or maybe you want them to write a few middle paragraphs, have them build a fort first. They're going to be much more excited to complete that activity because they're doing it in someplace different. You see this adorable little student here wearing those Harry Potter looking glasses. This came another idea from one of our top score teachers. She went out after Halloween and she bought up all the clearance glasses, the Harry Potter glasses, the ones that look like chickens, like all the crazy glasses she could find. And she made these her very special writing glasses, and she kept them in a basket. And every now and then, as a special treat, it was wear your writing glasses day. And she would pull them out and the students would put them on, and they got to complete their writing that day wearing these silly glasses. Student exchange program. This is when you use one another. So it's so funny how sometimes we can explain something to a student 5 times and they don't get it. But then someone else can walk in your classroom and say the exact same thing. And it's like light bulbs start going off. And all of a sudden, the student completely understands what you've been trying to explain for the past week or so, right? Well, use one another. If you have a student who is not understanding quoting and you've taught it every way you can think of, ask one of your peer teachers, hey, the next time you're doing a writing lesson, if you're going to be talking about quotes, can I send Anthony to your classroom? I'm sure they'll say yes. And then you can say, do you have anybody who's struggling with something in particular? And maybe they'll say, oh, Mariah, she's having such a hard time with introductions. And you say, okay, no problem. On Tuesday, I'll cover introductions, send her my way. And you can tell the students that this is a student exchange program. Okay, you can also explain what that is, build a little background knowledge, but the kids are going to feel like it's something special. It's almost an honor that they get to go to the teacher's classroom next door and be part of their writing lesson, when really you're just trying to provide a little bit of remediation in a different way to hopefully allow the student to understand the concept or skill that you've been trying to teach. And then the last idea, rainbow writing. So often, at Top Score, when us as teachers, when we are modeling, we model in color, right? Everything we do is in color. We always provide a key so the kids know what the colors represent, but we always model in color, and the kids always write in pencil or they type. And we allow them to use colors as a way of self-assessing their work, right? Well, we can switch it up and we can do Rainbow Writing Day, which means the kids get to write in different colors. Now, this is a really great way to reinforce structure and organization. So what this might look like is, okay, it's Rainbow Writing Day, boys and girls. Today we're going to write the introduction in T1 paragraph of our alligator essay. Everybody grab a blue colored pencil. Go ahead and write your hook in blue. Okay, now everybody grab a green colored pencil. Everybody write your 3-topic sentence in green. Okay, now everybody grab a red colored pencil and write your closing statement in red. Right? So you're going to assign a color to every sentence, okay, or every part of a paragraph. And the kids actually get to write in color. And when they get done, their whole essay will look like a rainbow. Using the materials you already have in your class, same activity you're going to do anyway, right? We're just changing it up a little bit, making it a little more exciting, a little bit silly, something for the kids to go home and tell their mom and dad at the dinner table, hey, guess what we did today? We got to wear our silly writing glasses, or we got to do rainbow writing, right? It's just the little things that can make a really big difference in their day. Another super fun activity is called Write Around the Room. And this is a fabulous activity when you want your students to write for an extended period of time. So we're all getting to the point in the year where our kids are going to start writing for longer and longer chunks of time. We're going to be slowly building up their stamina, right? So let's say we want our students to write a full essay. That normally takes 2 hours. Now, if we say to them, okay, boys and girls, today we're going to write a full essay. I'm going to set the timer for 2 hours. Go ahead and get started. There are going to be a lot of moans and groans, right? Not too excited. So instead, say, today we're going to write a whole essay, but we're going to write around the room. Here's what that looks like. Everybody's going to start at their seats. You're going to read your text set and your prompt, and then you're going to plan. And when you're done reading your text set and you're done with your plan, you get to get up and you get to move to the library and write your introduction paragraph. So you walk over to the classroom library, you plop yourself down, you write your introduction. Okay, when you finish that paragraph, you get to get up and you get to move to the science table and you're going to sit there and write your T1 paragraph. So you get up out of the classroom library, walk over to the science table, plop down, and you write your next paragraph. So every time the students finish a paragraph, they get to stand up, move to a different part of the room, sit down, and write their next paragraph. They're still writing for 2 hours without any interruptions, without any breaks. They just have that 30 seconds it takes to get up and move to the next place and sit down. But it's an amazing how effective this is at allowing them to extend their attention span, allow them to focus a bit more intensely on their writing. And that physical release of getting up and walking someplace else is really important for a lot of kids. So go ahead and give this a try. Now, there's always going to be that, one or two that try to just test the boundaries a little bit and they get a little silly and a little off task. And if that happens, we just say to that student, oh, so sweetly, I'm so sorry. I can see that this activity is just way too much for you. You're not able to get your job done. So today you go sit at your seat and you can write your whole essay in your seat for the rest of the day. You don't need to move around the room. That's too distracting for you. And that happens to one or two kids, and the rest of them kind of tend to fall in line a little bit more because who wants to write at their seat when you could be writing around the room? And then the next time you do this activity, I bet they all stay on task. So go ahead and try it out and let us know how it goes. And finally, we're going to end with one last writing activity. Another way you can change the environment, it's by hosting a writing seminar. Now, we have seen all kinds of seminars over the year. There's this one amazing school in Florida that we go to every year that does these seminars where there's music and there's special goodie bags and there's dancing, and it's absolutely phenomenal. It takes a lot of time and effort for the teachers to plan. And then we've also seen really simple writing seminars where the kids are just as excited and it required very little time or energy beforehand. So the way this works is you can announce to your students in the morning, today, boys and girls, you're going to a writing seminar. If your administration is on board, they may even make an announcement over the loudspeaker. Okay, 4th grade, please report to your writing seminar when it's time to go. Every student is going to go to a common place. So you would take maybe the whole 4th grade to the cafeteria, or the whole 4th grade to the media center, or maybe even the picnic tables outside. Give every student a clipboard because that makes it feel very official, very seminar-like. And then one of you, or maybe even one of your coaches, stands up front of the whole grade level or the whole group and teaches a writing lesson. And it doesn't have to be a fancy writing lesson. It could just be the lesson that was supposed to be taught that day in the classroom. Okay, so you have one person up front presenting the information. All the other teachers are circulating around the group, making sure the students are on task, helping, assisting, redirecting, etc. It also is going to free up time for teachers to have some mini conferences with students. Okay, have a chance to talk to students one-on-one about what they're doing in real time. So just an idea of a way to, again, change the environment. We can also allow our students to become the teachers. There's nothing they love more than when they get to think that they're telling us something that we don't already know, right? When they get to be the one that is in charge. So see if you can create some activities, and we have some ideas for you that give students a chance to be the teacher in the class. We know that when students are evaluating examples, it's really the highest level of understanding. And in all of these activities, students do get an opportunity to evaluate different writing samples. So the first one that's super simple is called thumbs up, thumbs down. So whenever you're modeling, go ahead and model with good examples and non-examples. And I'm sure you've seen that included in many of our lesson plans. When you are intentionally including a non-example, say boys and girls, thumbs up, thumbs down. Is this a good example or is this a non-example? Who can tell me why? Okay, so maybe you are modeling a middle paragraph and you write a topic sentence. You intentionally make it a non-example. You say boys and girls, thumbs up, thumbs down. Good example or non-example? And someone raises their hand and they say, oh, Mrs. Jones, that's a non-example. You forgot a transition. And you're like, oh my gosh, I did. Let me go ahead and fix it. Okay, now is it correct? Thumbs up, thumbs down. And then you keep going. Okay, then it's time to include an own thought and idea. And you go ahead and you write one. You say, boys and girls, thumbs up, thumbs down. Is this a good own thought and idea? Or is this a non-example? Why? Allow them to explain to you, if it's a non-example, why it's incorrect, and then see if they can suggest ways that you can correct it to turn it into a good example. Another great activity is called a sort, and you can do this during center time if you have any type of rotations or centers in your ELA block. And we have an activity we're going to share with you all as well. So this activity that we're going to share with you, we will email out to everyone, is called an evidence sort. So what it does is it takes a prompt and text set and plan the students are very familiar with. So for example, in fourth grade, we're all so familiar with the alligators text set and plan, right? If you're in fifth grade, you know all about Brazil. If you're in third grade, you know all about the Summer Olympics, right? There's always that one text set and plan that every student has memorized because we use it in so many lessons. So in this activity, we give the students that prompt, that completed plan, and then we give them 6 pieces of evidence for each middle paragraph. Now, here's the thing. Some of those pieces of evidence are great examples, and some of those pieces of evidence are non-examples. So the good examples are going to be relevant to the topic, right? They're going to be quoted properly or paraphrased properly. They're going to have citations that are structured correctly. The non-examples might be off topic, right? They might be confusing. They might not include a citation. So the students are going to have to evaluate these 6 pieces of evidence for every paragraph and sort them into categories, good examples or non-examples. And so we already have an example of this activity created for you, and we'll email it out to everyone so you can try it out in your classroom and see what you think. But you can make the same activity with any type of text set that your students are familiar with. All right, another activity that I love and I use all the time when I'm working with students is when they have to rank order examples. So right now, you're all probably are knee deep in middle paragraphs, spending a lot of time talking to your kids about paraphrasing and quoting and own thoughts and ideas. So when you're modeling, perhaps you're writing, I'll continue with the alligator example, perhaps you're writing a paragraph on alligator habitats. And you identified 3 sentences from the text set that are about alligator habitats. And you would say to them, okay, boys and girls, here's 3 pieces of evidence from the text. And they're all about alligator habitats. Which one is the best piece of evidence that I should include in my paragraph? Which one's the worst piece of evidence? Now explain why. And see if you can guide them to evaluate these examples and say things like, oh, Mrs. Jones, this is the best example because it is very strongly connected or related to what we're talking about. Or this one's the worst example because it's really off topic from what we're trying to explain to our reader. Allow them to evaluate these different examples and rank order them. All of these types of activities are going to allow them to be more strategic when they are writing their own essays. And then another activity is called review and revise. This is another great center activity. So students are given an essay that has some mistakes, has some holes in it. And then they're also given a key and they need to color code that example essay. So for example, maybe you all are working on introduction paragraphs. So in this center, they are given a sample introduction paragraph. And the directions say, use this key to color code the introduction. Highlight the hook in yellow. Highlight the 3 topic sentence in blue. Highlight the closing statement in green. Students go through, they highlight it, and they discover that something's missing. So the second part of this assignment is to identify what is missing or incorrect in this introduction paragraph. The third step is fix it. So maybe when you are color coding this example introduction, you realized there was no hook. Okay, so what are you going to do to fix it? You're going to add a hook. right? So you can do this type of activity with any paragraph that you've been working on or any skill that you're focusing on with your students. So these are open-ended activities that really can be applied to any tech set or any skill that your students are really working towards mastery on. All right, everybody. So we are about half an hour into our meeting. So I want to open up the floor to questions now. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat box and I will check those and answer those questions. And if you don't have any questions, then I just want to say thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And please be sure to reach out at any time if you have questions. So here you see my email address, Lisa, and also Katie, who is our director of curriculum. You can also always email customer service at Top Score Writing. We are here and available and happy to help support you in any way possible. All right, so I'm going to answer some questions for anyone that may have them.